This is Sport Fishing Championship.
Welcome to all the people watching on the interwebs, YouTubers. We're here in St. Augustine, Florida. Robbie Floyd, Katie Sawyer. It's our web show. We've been on CBS Sports Network for an hour. Make that 2 hours. Now it's time to give a little recap and brief of what's happening as guys are out on the water right now. But this morning, smooth takeoff for our boats that decided to fish day one of this three-day tournament. Again, there are 15 that had the opportunity to take off, but Katie, I think only 9 decided to go out on day one.
That's right. We have 9 teams out on the water today at the Salt Life Bluewater tournament out of St. Augustine. Team Half a Buck is one of them. They have been pulling lures and they've been pulling ballyhoos, Robbie, and I think that they are targeting the billfish.
I think they're pulling in billfish as well. St. Augustine, Florida is where we're at. We started one of those islands down there at the bottom of the year. Then we went to the Gulf in Venice, Louisiana, and Hurricane Hole in Grand Isle. Now we're in the oldest city in the United States, and our fleet are out there around, for the most part, it looks like they're inside 100 miles, although that's not an exact representation. Looks like Polarizer might be on the outside looking in, but how are they doing as far as the tournament's concerned? They're trying to go for their first win of the Sport Fishing Championship. They will be fishing the Atlantic Division. Catch alerts. Oh, this is different than what we saw on CBS. We knew we had some yellowfin tuna. Look at that, Katie. A couple of blue marlin had.
I love that sound, and I love those red lines. 12:20. Blue marlin release for Polarizer. Now, this is the first blue marlin of the tournament, but it's only day one. Now, since we're doing 2 out of 3 day tournament team fishing, every team has a day one and a day two. So those teams that didn't fish today, they're going to be fishing tomorrow, Robbie, and tomorrow will be their day one.
Yeah, so that drop time, and you got to catch one before 12:20 tomorrow. And looking at our championship points, 3,500 for the one tournament we've had so far in the SFC, the standalone event in Louisiana. Actually, we still had one in the Dominican as well, but these are all qualified for the Sport Fishing Championship, and a possibility to win that $1 million prize at the end of the rainbow.
That's right. So before 12:20, if there's a fish caught, a blue marlin caught, they'll have that extra 100 bonus points. But if not, then Team Polarizer will have 450 for their blue marlin. Also on the board was Half a Buck. Shortly after, about an hour after Polarizer's blue marlin release, right, Robbie?
Welcome to all our peeps. You're exactly right. Welcome outside our studio. I like saying inside. You know, Peter Miller's here in the next few hours. You're stuck with me for an hour, Katie. So it's not too bad, but I know it's not your favorite.
Oh, no, I'll take it, Robbie. I think that the desk is quite comfortable, if I'm being honest.
This is more relaxed, a little more kickback, and we've got an hour to talk about the things that we've seen and that we expect throughout the tournament. Behind us, we've already had boats are coming in saying, I'm going to go out tomorrow. How are things going out there today? I was starting to wonder during our CBS show where we're going to have any billfish, and not only have billfish, we got a couple of blues. That's what we wanted to see.
That's exciting, and I wonder, I think these guys, we had a couple guys up here a little while ago asking us if we'd heard any reports. We said absolutely, we have, but I think that they're over there thinking, oh shoot, should we have gone today? Well, we'll see
Maybe.
What tomorrow brings.
Yeah, I think 2 of the 9 have caught fish. And the gentleman that we just talked to just a moment ago said he was catching, what was it, swordfish, spearfish? He was catching something different than we'll probably see here. But looking at St. Augustine, Florida, it's our kickoff to the Atlantic Division. Who's going to catch them the best? Right now we're looking at Half a Buck trying to go back to back to back to back.
And, yeah, most of us have our captain's license. I think every one of us is born into a family of fishermen. We've fished our whole lives, and so a lot of experience on the boat.
Our style of fishing is mostly circle hook fishing, or is completely circle hook fishing, I guess. And with the amount of people that we have on the boat, it makes it easier to have someone kind of have a rod in their hand at all times, which is tremendously beneficial in that style of fishery.
A lot of the people who like to focus on blue marlin out of St. Augustine like to lure fish. That is a very effective way of catching blue marlin, made popular over in Hawaii. But it's not especially effective for, in particular, sailfish and also white marlin. You'll catch a few of them on the lures, but not a lot. The other option is to pull some dredges, go a little bit slower, pull ballyhoos and mackerels and stuff like that. You don't cover as much ground. You don't have as many teams here that are comfortable doing that. but it gives you the full array of species that you might be likely to catch.
Up here in Northeast Florida, we got to go about 75, 77 miles to get to the Gulf Stream. And, you know, you really run over a lot of fish when you get there. So, you know, we can find the wahoo at 45 miles. We can find the tuna at 55 miles. We can find the dolphin from 55 miles to 70 miles. We can find the sailfish even inside of that. Our target will be the sailfish and the big game fish. We catch a lot of wahoo. We catch a lot of mahi. There's a few spots where we know we can catch the tuna. But we're definitely signed up for the billfish tournament here and plan to hopefully rack up half a dozen sailfish and get in the money with that. You know, the marlin, they're always out there with the mahis, and we'll see them. That's not really our target. The blue Martian, that's the goal, but it's not the target so much on the realistic.
Our game plan tomorrow is we're going to try to get away from all the other boats and just kind of space ourselves out. We're going to pull lures until we find something that looks good, and then we'll switch over with bait, with dredges and teasers. So circle hook fishing for the most part.
The plan for this tournament is going to be to fish Thursday and Friday. The weather is going to probably play a pretty big factor in what we can do. The forecast is slowly starting to improve. But generally, it's go out to the ledge about 50 miles out and put the lines in and troll east till we find some sort of good rip, usually somewhere between there and about 1,200 feet of water. And with the Gulf Stream current coming up through there, it generally, with this wind, it's going to be rougher. It's not going to necessarily be pleasant, but that's where the fish are. That's where the blue marlin are. And I think that's what's done a lot to help us win the tournament the past few years is we know where they are, and we're patient enough to wait them out. We're not going to catch as many dolphin and wahoo as the guys fishing for meat on the ledge, but you know, this time of year we know what's there, and it's worth the wait.
Several different approaches, and a couple of those team members that we saw actually caught fish this morning, whether it be the yellowfin tuna or the blue marlin, like we saw Daniel there just a moment ago on half a buck. So again, this is an exact representation, Katie, but it's a generalization of where they're out there. And some are going for the smaller fish if they get the blues. Others are going for blues, forget the smaller fish.
That's right, Robbie. Up until that edge where we're seeing half a buck there, a generalization of it, but you'll see there's a ledge there. Up until that moment, 50 miles is only 120 feet, so these guys are going into deep water.
Yeah. For Real also had one of our, that was actually the first reported catch of the day, the yellowfin tuna. We'll have to see what size it is. It's one of the bring-in fish, and on the local side of things, they could bring 2 of those yellowfin, part of our championship fish. Looking at the schedule, next up, Orange Beach, Alabama. I'm looking forward to that. The OB, it's always good. An awesome field, mass start. I love the rush, the adrenaline.
I love this tournament, and I'm very excited about it. If you see on the map, it's very close to where we were in Louisiana last week. These teams are going to be a lot of the repeat teams, our Gulf Circuit teams, and they're going to be fishing the same waters that they fished last week.
Quantified with that 7 sailfish catch, really put them over the top at the Gulf Coast Masters. That's a pretty sight looking down in the water, seeing that fish. All flared up. What's it? Get lit. That's what Peter always says. Lit up very, very well.
Our next event is going to be the Mississippi Tournament, Biloxi. I'm very excited about Biloxi. I love the Gulf Circuit tournaments. There's a lot of fish that come in. There's a lot of information that comes from these fish, and there is a lot of boats that fish them.
New favorite for you. I know you want to go to Jersey, but this is another good one.
Absolutely. I've been speaking with there's a specific science lab in Biloxi. Yeah, right? Scientific science. But very excited.
You see the crowd, though. You don't have to just be out there on the water. You can be a part of it on site when they bring in some fish, like Drew Phillips did last year. Remember that 206-pounder? If he does that again, he might take it again.
I don't know how I could possibly forget that fish, Robbie. I was over on the other side of the Atlantic watching that fish get caught, and I was just thrown by its size.
Look at those big old sickle fins that Peter always talks about, known for the Gulf, Miramar Beach, Florida. What do they call this? The ECBC. That's the easiest way to say it. The Emerald Coast, super good-looking water and a super huge field taking off.
Another massive tournament with a lot of very thick competition. Once again, fishing the same waters, the same North Gulf of Mexico fishing grounds.
Team Quantified taking the victory there in the ECBC. One boat we were talking about earlier, we'd rather have a center console or one of the bigger boats. High Cotton, one of the teams that we see generally fish those Gulfs. They cruise in style when they're around the SFC.
That's right. A lot of these sport fishing boats, in the Gulf tournaments, you know, these teams, they go out and they don't come back in until it's over. Team Quantified took this win last year with 12 total billfish releases, 2 blue marlins, 7 whites, and 3 sails. Like, that white marlin bite was hot, and they really made it happen. I'm curious how many of them were at the same time.
Yeah, you got to make hay while the sun shines there. White marlin worth 125 points, blues worth 350, sails worth 75. Easy BC. There's that big number I was talking about when they take off. 84 boats just scrambling out there. I know the Gulf of Mexico is big, but that's a mass exodus.
47 blue marlin, Robbie, at the ECBC last year. What an event. And it's not only billfish, it's tuna, it's mahi, it's wahoo, it's the whole playing field.
Old kit and caboodle again, one of our stops further down the line for the Gulf Division. We're at the Atlantic right now. And Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Comanche Cove Yacht Harbor plays host, looking down that coastline while the anglers, they're out there, the boats, they're out there trying to catch blues. We've already got 2 on the board so far. Make sure you get the QR code, SFC, catch all the action. Just click on that link.
SFC coverage of the Salt Life Bluewater Tournament is sponsored by Frito-Lay, Michelob Ultra, Denison Yachting, and by Salt Life.
When it comes to performance, comfort, and functionality, we've got you covered. Performance apparel designed by anglers to make your time on the water better than ever. Salt Life, the official apparel sponsor of the Sport Fishing Championship.
Whether you like to ride the wind, find your secret cove, or reel them in, plot your paradise with GPS Map Series from Garmin.
This spring, settle in and reconnect with one another. South Padre Island has so many great places to stay. Condos, resorts, and hotels. Oh my! Book your spring getaway today. And start making memories poolside with the people you care about most. Visit SoPadre.com.
When you're serious, you are as excited to wake up for a 4 a.m. fishing trip as you were when you were a kid. It means winning 3 World Sailfish Championships. It means you know what you need and what you don't. Being serious means seeking out the ultimate fishing machine, which is what Peter Miller has found in the unmatched handling, speed, and comfort of an Invincible.
Pine tar, bay rum, all natural, all natural.
It's time for your old soap to take a
hike with Dr. Squatch, the best natural men's soap, deodorant, shampoo, and so much more.
Dr. Squatch is for players like Justin Herbert, who are here to shake things up, who break records and hearts, who are tough on the outside and soft on the skin side, who only use natural performance enhancement and want their end zone to be fresh.
Go to drsquatch.com today. Feel like a man, smell like a champion.
Are you ready for the ultimate luxury fishing experience? Join the Sport Fishing Championship talent on the SFC Experience, where you'll explore incredible fisheries and enjoy world-class hospitality from diverse cultures and SFC partner locations. With the SFC Experience, you'll create unforgettable memories with friends, families, or colleagues. Book your trip today and embark on the adventure of a lifetime with the SFC Experience.
SFC coverage of the Salt Life Bluewater Tournament is sponsored by BioLite, Ice Shaker, Durabright. And by Denison Yachting.
Living that salt life here, and I'm going to call it St. Augustine, Florida. I might have said Fort Lauderdale, Katie.
You might have.
I may have. Absolutely did say Fort Lauderdale. But I know we're in St. Augustine, and I know it's the third event of the season, and I know one team in particular is trying to go back to back to back to back, and Katie caught up with Team Half a Buck's Chuck Stowe.
I'm sitting on the Half a Buck with Chuck Stowe, and we're going to talk a little bit about this boat, the tackle on it, and what the game plan is for this weekend. Chuck, how long have you been fishing with Half a Buck?
I've been fishing with the family who owns this boat and previous boats for 31 years. We typically fish for blue marlin. We fish lures. We fish a set of 6 lures, a couple out short, a couple on the riggers, a couple long.
I'm seeing some 80 wides and I'm seeing some 50s on board. Do you mix up your reel setups with your lures, or are you fishing a specific size tackle?
For marlin, the 80s, in case we do tag into a nice fish. You want an 80. We've caught, and there's plenty of large fish calling 50s, but it's a lot fairer for the fish to get them in quicker, in my opinion, get them released, and the 80s have the power to do that. We've got a mixed match. Some of these older rods are 40-year-old rods. These bigger beef sticks, I call them. They don't bend very much, but they're very durable. These rods were purchased secondhand by Daniel's grandfather in the 90s. And unfortunately, we've had several stolen off the boat a couple years ago. So we had to make some new rods. But we still have, I see 4 of the old ones. And we've got a lot of history and a lot of memories with those rods.
On behalf of the SFC, you guys did a fantastic job last year, and we're excited to see what comes out of the tournament this year.
Solid run by them the past few years, and doing it on equipment you typically wouldn't see. I hate thieves. I said that earlier in our CBS show. And as far as those rods, you just can't replace them. I mean, those are heirlooms.
No, they did their best replacing it, but just like you said, Robbie, that was old family rods, and it's a shame that they were taken off the boat, especially right before the tournament. Now, I'd like to say that Chuck did touch in on something in that little segment about 80 wides and catching the fish quickly, and he was completely right?
Yeah.
So the longer you fight a fish, the more exhausted it's going to be, and the more important it is to make sure that fish is properly breathing, properly oxygenated by the boat before releasing it, so it can swim away healthy.
All right, for our fans that don't typically watch, you talk about powering it in and doing that. Is it harder on a fish to fight for, say, an hour? Or is it harder for a fish to power and winch it in and get it in there quickly? I mean, what does it do to the body of that fish either given way?
That's a great question. These are really resilient animals. They're very resilient species. The quicker you catch a fish, the better it's going to survive, the better its odds of survival. And there have been lots of studies, lots of tagging studies that have been done, especially out of Biloxi, which I'm excited about, as we all know. But there's a lot of studies that have been done on these fish and their survival rates after, breathing them, after making sure that the fight was quick and versus longer fights. Now, how do we breathe a fish, Robbie? Do you know?
You run it through their, I guess it would be gills, right? Are they still considered gills?
Yeah.
But you work it through there and let the water flow and it kind of revives them?
Absolutely. Exactly. It's the same principle as the tuna tubes. You got it. A+. The same principle as the tuna tubes. You grab the bill. A lot of times you'll see these guys grabbing bills. Now I encourage the viewers to use gloves, but you grab the bill, make sure the water's rushing through the mouth, through the gills, and then you'll see the color come back to the fish.
All right, I feel like I'm at Wheel of Fortune. Let's spin that wheel, find out where we're going to land, Katie. Where are we going to land? Is it going to be 4 reel? Is it going to be half a buck? Where are we landing? It's Team Half a Buck. Oh, man.
2022, Team Half a Buck.
They were so good.
They did a great job, I agree.
And they did it, again, on their second day. Again, they pick which days they fish, whether it's day 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 or 1 and 3. And they waited till that last moment.
They sure did.
I'm hearing some drag, aren't you?
I tell you, if that sound doesn't get you excited, you need to get out on the water more.
Make me strain. I'm going to pull something sitting here watching them.
Pass this over to me.
But that's it, though, right? You don't fight that fish. You let him, wear himself out a little bit, have that drag set just right. Too much drag, it's going to want to pull you, and it'll beat you up as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to have the right level of drag that's both comfortable for the angler, and it's not going to put too much strain on the line because, of course, you don't want the line to break. You don't want the connections to go. You don't want anything to be faulty in this situation. Now, look, we're looking at these antiquated, I don't want to say antiquated, but these old school, incredibly beautiful, fascinating reels. I say they're fascinating. They're called duels. They were originally made in Italy, and they go high speed as well as low speed. And if you see the gentleman, he's reeling backwards right now, which means he's actually in low gear, Robbie.
Going in granny gear. You're too young. You don't even know what granny gear is, do you?
No, I don't know.
That's lower than low.
I will take that compliment and I will run with it. Just like this billfish is running right here. So the reason why you would go in low gear is if there's a lot of pressure on the line, figuratively and emotionally, Robbie, a lot of pressure on the line and you want that fish to come in, you can't gain with a full high gear reel, then you can go into low gear and gain very, very slowly. But now we're back in high gear, he's going clockwise. I think that is just a really cool setup.
Keep it on top, make it a skipper. Also a little less resistance. You make up ground with that boat. He's making it up with the reel. It's just those deeper ones that are harder. And kind of imagine it. Imagine, I know it sounds crazy for those of you at home, imagine having rubber boot filled with water. And even in your swim pool at home, try and reel up a rubber boot that's submerged. It's one thing to have it backwards where it's just skimming the water. It's another thing having it down, just digging. And you got it on top. This angler going to get it. Oh, there's your backwards movement that you've been looking for.
Now imagine that rubber boot has a tail and some pec fins
and hundreds of
and is very content in the water. Now our angler here is doing an excellent job. I think it's really cool that this team is going so quickly in and out of high gear. I can't say it enough. It's a fascinating concept. But the angler is also using his thumb on his left hand to level wind the line onto the reel. That's super important. Level winding means it's going to come onto the reel in a level manner. You don't want to build up of line on these reels because that's how something bad happens.
I'm watching that thumb because Peter taught me last year, and we saw with guys breaking line, also make sure that your hand's on the top of that rod in case you do snap one off.
Absolutely.
You don't want to do a melon thumper.
The most terrifying thing to me is when I see an angler in a chair with a very big fish on the other side of the line and they are not holding that rod or that reel, or even just placing their hand on that reel. If that comes back, if a connection breaks, that could be a really unfortunate situation. Now we have a beautiful blue marlin, feisty at the boat side. The mate has leadered it to the boat side. They caught it on a lure, I believe, Robbie. So we're gonna get its bill. We're gonna keep its mouth in the water and get our lure back.
Again, different tournaments, different rules. No live bait at this one, where we saw a lot of live bait being used in Venice and Grand Isle last week in the Gulf Division. Again, we just follow the rules that the local tournaments set forth. They decide something, so we give our points, but it's their rules.
And you see, did you see that man that didn't have his gloves on? I told you guys, I said, wear gloves if you're going to touch a billfish bill, for sure. Woo!
You know me, I'd have my mittens on 24/7.
Come on!
What an accomplishment for Team Half a Buck. They had an incredible tournament in 2022, and they are already on the leaderboard today. They are tied for first place.
They would have been if they would have caught the first one. We saw it earlier.
Well, we don't know yet. We don't know yet. We'll know more tomorrow.
Everything's officially unofficial. You're exactly right. Because unofficially, we've got them catching their blue marlin about an hour after our first team Polarizer.
What we know is they will not have the extra bonus points.
Yes. Sweet job by them. Brought those fish up, and they caught the fish. It's really, it looks easy on television, doesn't it?
It sure does.
It's everything but easy. It's very difficult. They took off early this morning. They could have their lines in the water at 7. They fish till 4. They're back at 6, and they go out and do it either tomorrow or the next day. But teasing them up, getting that fish attracted to your bait, there's only a portion of the battle.
That's right. We have a lot of different spreads out today. Like you touched on, Robbie, there's no live baiting in this tournament, not like we see a lot of in the Gulf of Mexico, but what these teams are all doing is pulling teasers. Most teams are pulling 4 different types of teasers. 4 teasers, 2 different types, excuse me. 2 surface teasers, the squid chains we just saw on the surface, those are gonna be your left teaser or your right teaser. Now remember, Robbie, The left and the right is when you're facing the spread, right?
Yeah.
And it's not port or starboard. It's when you're facing the spread.
I was ready for those 2 words. I was ready for you.
And the other teasers are going to be subsurface teasers. Those are the dredges, either artificial or baited dredges. We have teams that put mullet or ballyhoo on their dredges, or
a little taste.
Yeah, you know, we fish baited dredges when we're tournament fishing because we don't hold back.
Well, Peter always talks about how, like, even though you're teasing them, that fish will get a little taste. You're like, oh, that's good. That's real.
Exactly.
And then you get them with the bait and switch. You hear bait and switch my whole life. This is truly the origination of bait and switch.
That's exactly right, Robbie. Bait and switch is my favorite style of fishing. And the idea is none of these teasers have hooks in them. When a fish shows up, we bring the teaser in and we present a beautiful pitch bait, and we hope for that, for everything to go just right, and we hope for the fish to eat our pitch bait and get hooked with a circle hook and then have a successful fight and catch.
One of the things about this squid chain, it is squid we are talking about. Oftentimes people say, why are these fish going after squid? They just know them as what, calamari or at the restaurant, but that is the bait that these fish are going for. And we're trying to emulate just that in different colors as well. It could be pink, it could be green.
Definitely. I have a theory that, and a lot of fishermen do, that the color is dependent on how much light. If it's a low light situation, we have various colors, and high light situations like noon, high sun, we have pink.
A lot of things to do here at Comanche Cove Yacht Harbor, but also a lot of things to do for Michelle Dalton. Checking out the Beamish Custom Tackle, just another piece of the SFC experience. You can check them out. Take a look.
Good morning. Welcome to Beamish Custom Tackle.
Hi. How's it going?
Good. Doing well.
Michelle, nice to meet you. So tell me a little bit about the tackle shop. How did this all start?
In 2018, so prior to that, I had been traveling every summer, leaving my wife and kids at home to go chase my dreams of blue marlin fishing. So during that time, we were selling bait and my lures and stuff out of our garage. And my wife was pretty much tired of, who's this guy coming over today? Who's this guy? You know, that guy. And so she's like, why don't you just open up a tackle shop in St. Augustine? So in 2018, they actually called me and said, oh, I heard you have a tackle shop. And I said, no, it's in my garage. And they said, well, do you want to rent the space? And so here we are today, 5 years strong. We specialize, we do everything. We rig baits, we rig sword baits, we make lures, we do a little bit of everything here. We do a lot of spooling. We average about 50,000 yards a week on spooling. Yeah, so it's nonstop.
Awesome. Well, busy is really good. I understand you guys are completely busy, but do you ever get a chance to fish St. Augustine's waters?
I have fished here a lot, and it's rich. It's great. It's a little bit of a ride. It's 50 miles, and a lot of guys will go 90 to 100 miles for the yellowfins, and a lot of blue marlins on that side too. But the thing about St. Augustine is that there's plenty of blue marlin coming through here. But if you target a blue marlin here in St. Augustine, chances are you're going to catch one.
Roland, thanks so much for showing me around the shop today.
Anytime. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.
In Puerto Rico, we call ourselves Boricua. We're proud, passionate, and full of life. On our island, adventure finds you. Strangers aren't strangers for long. The size of the audience doesn't change the beauty of the music, and we celebrate every last ray of sun. Live Boricua.
Salt Life, the official sunglass partner of the Sport Fishing Championship.
Well, we're waiting.
I'm alright. Don't nobody worry about me. You got to give me a fight. Why don't you just let me be? Got to catch a leg.
I'm Amanda Shaw. We all know Louisiana is as fun as all get out. So get out, take a road trip, and explore our state. Fill her up, then try a new restaurant that's as fun-loving as it is food-loving. Grab the family and take off for monumental adventures at our 21 state parks. Or take a magical minivan tour along our 19 scenic trails and byways. Louisiana's a trip. Take one today.
This is Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. Plan your road trip at LouisianaStaycation.com.
Whether you like to ride the wind, find your secret cove, or reel them in. Plot your paradise with GPS Map Series from Garmin.
When you're serious, you are as excited to wake up for a 4 a.m. fishing trip as you were when you were a kid. It means winning 3 World Sailfish Championships. It means you know what you need and what you don't. Being serious means seeking out the ultimate fishing machine, which is what Peter Miller has found in the unmatched handling, speed, and comfort of an Invincible.
SFC coverage of the Salt Life Bluewater Tournament is sponsored by Garmin, Invincible Boats, Visit South Padre Island, and by SFC Experience.
Robbie Floyd, Katie Sawyer here with you at the Salt Life Bluewater Tournament from St. Augustine, Florida. Lovely sides, mid-80s, slight breeze, offshore wind. Let's just say they've been doing this one for quite a while.
In this club, around these docks, and you know, I'm the person I am today probably because of this club, and there's always something to do with fishing, and it all sprung from right here.
It was started by a group of guys who literally were kind of going over the horizon. The fishing fleet here was just getting where they could reach the blue water. So they were learning about what was out there on the Gulf Stream. People thought they were crazy at first, you know, you guys really aren't going that far. But once they started coming back and they hung up a few blue marlin, all of a sudden a lot more people were interested, which has kind of got us to where we are now.
Yeah, they've been doing it a while, quite a while. 51 years, the Salt Life Bluewater Tournament. NEFMA, Northeast Florida Marlin Association, a fine facility here at Comanche Cove Yacht Harbor. Our championship is at hand. Our championship fish are out there swimming around somewhere as well. As we look at boats out on the water, they're not only looking for billfish, Katie, they're looking for championship fish as well. One of these could be worth, all 4 of these are worth $50,000.
That's right, Robbie. St. Augustine is actually known for its massive wahoo bite. There is a good chance that the wahoo might show up, but also the yellowfin. We have 2 yellowfin already on the board today, but neither of them are rumored to weigh more than Rising Sun's Jason LeBlanc's 147.5-pound yellowfin caught at the Louisiana Gulf Coast Billfish Classic last week.
Had to set that tone at that stop. I was surprised we didn't have any qualifiers at the Dominican Republic, whether it be mahi, wahoo, tuna, you name it. This man sitting next to me, we're in your house, huh? This is your house for many, many years. Travis Stotts with the Windward Marine Group. Welcome to the Sport Fishing Championship.
Thanks for having me.
What's it like for you when we just roll up and go, hey, it's time to party?
It's been interesting, fun. Glad to work with you guys. It's been very different. Been to a lot of these Marina, these fishing tournaments, and this is the first time we've had one broadcast.
Travis, what's your role here at the Marina?
I'm the Marina manager.
Wow, and how long have you been here?
18 years. 18
years in St. Augustine?
20 in St. Augustine, 18 at the Marina.
All right, so you're local. It's real.
You stuck around. You fish yourself. You go out there. Now, like in golf, I say if you want to golf, don't work in the golf industry. Same thing with fishing. Do you get to fish?
I used to. I don't as much anymore.
There you go. You hadn't fished in 18 years, probably, huh?
Just about.
Travis, being here for 18 years, you must have quite the relationship with the NEFMA tournament. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, this is my 18th one. Started here as just a little kid, and it's been growing and building every year, and it's always interesting. You see a lot of different characters come out all hours of the day, and but yeah, it's always good. We have a good relationship with them. We've partnered well, and the new ownership of the marina has really pushed, and we've pushed to really build that relationship.
A solid location. We're just north of the St. Augustine Inlet, but 257 slips. I know that there's a bunch, but I mean that's a ton. And full year round. I mean, is there a waiting list? I mean, you look busy.
Yeah, we got a big waiting list. Over 170 boats on the wait list.
Perfect.
We've got a lot of construction going on right now because we're actually trying to add more slips, and it's a big part of our future and trying to keep all this stuff here.
Incredible. New additions coming.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. How many slips are y'all trying to add?
I think it's 26 linear slips that you can fit any size boat in.
Fabulous.
Isn't it cool sitting here watching what's going out on the water now? I mean, we're doing it for the web now. We were on CBS earlier, but did you ever think there would come a day that you would see that?
No, this takes all the fish stories out.
Yeah.
Travis,
you have favorites? Because if this is your house, you're bound to know who the favorites would be. Who would you say? Don't tell me half a buck.
Well, I mean, I know the captain of the boat, and he's a good fisherman. But the Sea Fan is one that they've been here longer than I've been here, and Mr. Graves knows how to fish, so I wouldn't be surprised.
we're excited to see the Sea Fan. They are going out for their first day of fishing tomorrow, day 1 for them. So it should be really interesting to see them on the water. Travis, question for you in concerns of the boats that might be wanting to come this way. Are there any limitations for sport fishing boats that want to come fish St. Augustine, want to come stay in your marina? Is there anything that they need to know coming in through the inlet or anything, or is everybody available and welcome?
Everybody's available and welcome.
I love it. That's what we want.
Come one, come all.
Perfect.
One thing that I was impressed with, and we get to partner with the best tournaments around the country, around the world, but the NEFMA, and up top at our standing point, I mean, there's a great place to have events and parties and people kick back. It's kind of like a country club feel without being pretentious, without, people, snooty people. These are fun fishing folk ready to have a good time.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great clubhouse they've got there. And we actually get to do our meetings and things up there too, and have our parties up there. They're very generous to let us use it, and it's a beautiful facility. They just painted the place so it looks even better now. So it's good growth for everybody.
We're seeing, and I don't know, we're looking at some of last year's footage, and we should be able to, Katie, we want to point that out, but we try and bring stuff back each day as it's happening live on satellite, but we also have cards because each one of these teams come back at nighttime or in the afternoon, and then we do get all their footage, and they have to verify a championship catch or a
just
big
like this
girl
one
like
last
that
year.
one.
Yes, exactly. That's a beautiful shot of a pretty blue marlin, probably about 250, 300 pounds on the leader, jumping away from the boat, looking really, really good.
Did you hear our producer right then, Katie? That was $50 from earlier today. Oh, no, this is $50 from earlier today. Now I got it. I didn't hear our producer. Hey, John Denver said sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. Will a blue marlin at your boat make you happy as well? We already saw 2 today.
Oh, wow.
What is your favorite fish to catch, Travis?
I'm actually more of an inshore person. I like catching redfish. I've gotten back into freshwater fishing lately just to kind of get away from work, But
we won't hold it against you.
Yeah. Any of it's really good.
Any fish, any water. Am I right? But
Yep.
you have quite the inshore fishery here. Is that correct?
Oh yes. I mean, there's probably upwards of 10 species that you can catch for sport or for food, and it's just all kinds of places to fish around here.
10 species, you guys. So if it's too
Name
rough
'em.
offshore, you can go inshore, right?
I can get close.
I'm gonna put you on the test. I heard somebody talk about. I was yesterday. They were talking about all these fish catches in the parking lot before we came on air, and he said I caught 20 flounder. I guess is that a time of year thing, just a local thing? I mean,
it's a local thing. We got lots.
A bunch.
Lots
I
of
guess he
flounder,
was talking about 20. I'm like, what'd you catch?
Yeah. No.
What's your favorite memory from this tournament, Travis?
You're asking for 18 years.
Lots of fond memories.
Probably my first year. It was my 3rd week of work here, and it was out of the frying pan into the fire. That was how that went.
I bet it did. Tell us a little bit more about it.
It was just we had I think about 60 boats here, and it was just fueling boats till 9 o'clock at night, helping people get their catches off the boat, icing up all night. We come in at 3 o'clock in the morning to give them ice. It was just nonstop.
Nonstop.
Gotta get broken in.
Oh,
you
yeah.
did that.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Travis. It's a
My
pleasure
pleasure.
to have you at the desk and as part of the SFC.
Part of it. You got to get beat up from the feet up. Your very first stop. This is our third round of the season from St. Augustine, Florida. Comanche Cove Yacht Harbor. You see the beautiful boats in the background, and they're not limited to distance once they take off each and every morning or 2 of the 3 days. But the further you get out means a longer run out, and a longer run in, Katie, the more running you're doing, the less fishing you're doing. But Polarizer, we have reports with our first blue marlin of the tournament. It looks like they are the farthest out.
That's right. It looks like Polarizer was fishing the east side of the Gulf Stream this morning, and they released their first blue marlin, our first blue marlin of the day at 12:20. Now remember, each team has a day 1 and a day 2. So tomorrow, I think several teams, including the Sea Fan, as we were just discussing, it will be fishing their day 1. So if anyone releases a blue marlin before 12:20 tomorrow, they will have that extra 100 bonus points. Otherwise, it will go to Polarizer.
And again, they'll have video verification. If we don't have a live camera on them at the moment, they have to have constant video communication with that boat, and we'll see the timestamp. But it's almost like for you racing fans out there qualifying. I know the time I need to beat. Now I just need to go out there and do it. So the pressure will be on for our remaining teams tomorrow.
What a fun competition it is.
SFC continues tomorrow. YouTube from 2. We've got 3. We got CBS tomorrow. I'd like to thank everybody helping this event, make this event possible. Katie, I think we should do it again.
Yeah, I'm ready for it, Robbie.
Day number 1 looks to be done. They're going to be heading back here very shortly. Again, it's stop number 3, the Salt Life Bluewater Tournament from St. Augustine, Florida. 2 blue marlin on board. We'll see if even more can come, plus the championship fish, the tuna. Will we see a wahoo? I'll be shocked if we don't see a wahoo or a
Robbie, I'm ready for
mahi
it.
mahi.